Well, first of all, the entire landscape of companies is changing. So you can no longer run your company like you did yesterday. You need to take a look at tomorrow. I believe that design and design thinking in particular can help companies to prepare for those uncertain futures and to deal with the everyday ambiguity that they face.
I think businesses today are really being forced to move more quickly, adapt to the disruptive forces in the environments around them, and figure out how to pivot, figure out how to compete with, startups that can move much more quickly and radically than they can.
I think the value of design thinking within the innovation process lays especially in the beginning and what is being called the fuzzy front end of the process. This is the part of the process where you can help companies identify the problem they need to deal with and help them translate that problem into a series of solutions.
So part of the program is oriented around having leaders actually do innovation. And sometimes we get a little bit of pushback about that, like, oh, I'm a senior leader, I'm not actually going to be doing the work of innovation. But it's pretty hard to lead something that you don't have any empathy for how to do it. And so we actually think it's pretty critical that leaders go through the process and feel the discomfort that their teams will feel when they're exploring user needs and trying to, derive insights and implications, and then having to, create new ideas that will address those needs. So we want leaders to have that immersive experience and to get some feel for what their teams will be experiencing. At the same time, we want to teach them about the different leadership mindsets and behaviors that they're going to need to demonstrate in order to create that environment for their teams to be able to innovate effectively. Design thinking is really a methodology. It's a problem-solving approach, and it's a way of embracing the tools and skills and techniques that designers use to create new things, and it's applying them much more broadly to a broader range of problems than we've ever seen before. And what design thinking is really, really good at producing is innovation. I define innovation as, new value that's being created for an organization's customers and for the organization itself. And design thinking is a way of really understanding what do customers want and need, and how do we derive novel insights about that so that we can come up with ideas that will actually tap into those needs.
So the program that we have designed, it allows you to think about innovation on two different levels. On the one hand, in order to lead innovation, you need to know what it is, and you need to experience itself, the process. So the first part of our training is literally called In the Design Studio, in the Innovation Studio. There, as the leader, you'll be part of a team and you'll be working on an innovation challenge. After 3 days, you have gone through all the different stages of the design thinking process, and you have come up with a new answer in response to the challenge that we have given you. After that period is over, we ask you to reflect on the question, what does it mean to lead people like that are exposed, that are immersed in this innovation process? We believe that by switching the lens from, on the one hand, participating in the innovation process, on the other hand, on the other lens, you ask yourself the question, what do I need as a capacity to lead the people that do these things? We think that is very valuable. Your capacity to switch and change points of view will be very beneficial to you in the future.
I think this is a really exciting course because it combines a number of different elements that are required to lead innovation effectively. It allows you to experience it in a very multifaceted way. How do I actually learn the skills and tools and methods and actually practice applying them? I think what's happening today is that the pace of change is accelerating. Disruptive forces are coming at just about every industry, and existing organizations need to be able to be more adaptive. They need to be able to respond, act more quickly, pivot. I think this program is really unique because we are going to teach you in an in-depth, rich way about the principles and tools of design thinking. But there are other programs that do that. What we're going to do is we're going to teach it in a much more business-oriented context. So sometimes design thinking programs teach the methodology a little bit in the abstract, and what we want to do is apply it, have you apply it in a real business challenge.
On the one hand, you have the traditional business schools who have adopted design thinking as a differentiator. And typically the programs being offered by them are offered by business people who have adopted some of the veneer of design thinking. They've read the books, they speak the language, but they have never been in a position to actually really innovate themselves. On the other hand, you have what we call the design thinking boutique, the design consultancies. Now, they are immersed in the practice of design and they are great designers. But the challenge that they have is they are not teachers. What we are doing is we are combining not only design thinking, but we also have the capacity to teach. We are, on the one hand, we are designers, but we are also educators. That combination of knowing and understanding design in depth with the capacity to teach and to transfer is what we believe makes this program unique.
I think you just can't get access to this combination of learning anywhere else. This is the one place where all of that is going to get wrapped into one integrated, really exciting experience. But if you want to generate something truly new and different, you have to be generative. You have to diverge for much longer and be exploratory. You don't want to take a guess at the answer too soon, because that's going to cut off all kinds of interesting threads of exploration that might ultimately lead to something truly novel. So I think design thinking is a great tool for those generative problems where we're trying to really create something new and different. I think one of the most important things about coming to a program like this is being willing to be a student again and to really recognize that, you know, you've been successful, you've learned a lot of skills, you know, you're probably expert in a certain area, but you're going to have to let go of a bunch of that so that you can really recognize that some of the things that have made you successful to date are actually going to be impediments to your ability to innovate effectively. You have to create different conditions for a team to be willing to take the risks to innovate. They need to feel a sense of psychological safety. They need to feel that you've got their backs as a leader. They need to feel that you're creating the openness and the opportunity for exploration. And a lot of leadership roles are not about those things. They're about being efficient, getting things done, running the business of today productively, effectively, smoothly. And so I think it's really important that we examine specifically what the leader needs to do to create the culture that will allow innovation to thrive.
Right now, companies spend an awful amount of time trying to wrestle themselves to the complexity of the everyday business environment. We believe that by taking this program, you will ask yourself the critical questions. You will learn to understand your futures. These are things at the fuzzy front end of the design process that if you sort them out very early, soon in the process, they will help you to generate much more time at the back end. Sometimes as companies we spend a lot of time on the wrong questions or questions that have not been formulated properly. We're working on products and services that are not fully validated, from a market point of view. So while we spend lots of time and lots of our resources on ill-defined questions or poorly thought through services, we waste lots and lots of time. By creating capability early on, soon in the innovation process, and spend time to really set out your fundamentals, you will save yourself time and a lot of money.
This really is an example of where, despite many, many years of doing things in a particular way, you can actually change the way you approach a problem, learn new skills and tools for generating ideas in ways that are, really surprising and exciting. I love the program because it has all these different facets of really figuring out how you would bring innovation leadership into your organization.
The one thing that I think will help you make this course valuable, the fact that we will help you to develop the creative confidence to deal with challenges for which there are no answers yet. Creative confidence is the capacity of not knowing the answer yet, but having the confidence in yourself that you will be able to resolve this question. You will come up with an answer. Before doing the training, this may feel difficult and a bit scary, But once you've gone through this process and once you have seen what an incredible development you have made through these 3 days of the training, looking back, you'll see, I am now changed. Now I have this confidence.
A good leader can become a great innovation leader by adding to their toolkit and recognizing that there are different modes of leadership that they need to operate in, that there are certain ways of thinking, certain mindsets and certain behaviors that are going to help them run the business of today really effectively, but there are a different set of mindsets and behaviors that are going to help them create a culture that will enable innovation in their organization. We have to recognize that our own tendencies will trip us up when we're trying to lead innovation because we'll want to retreat to what we know, to what feels comfortable, to what is certain. The trickiest part is recognizing when you are getting in your own way. What are the things that you are doing that, despite your best intentions of wanting to be innovative or wanting to encourage your team to innovate, you are, inadvertently acting in ways that actually impede innovation. And then the last bit of the program really focuses on that leadership reflection piece. How am I going to evolve my capabilities and my skills, my ability to have impact in my organization as a leader of innovation? What am I going to take back? What are my strategies for having a vision for innovation in my part of the organization and having the resilience to actually make it happen?
Sometimes you need to prepare for a future where you no longer have such a strong IP position. I've been part of a company that actually was in a commodity business, and they changed themselves from a technology provider to an experience provider. And this was a radical change for this company, because no longer were they selling products in bulk by the millions, but they had become an experience provider that actually made use of some technology building blocks, but the key knowledge there was understanding experience of people and creating products and technologies by which people can use these experiences themselves. That is a big change for a company who is relying on its core product, the technology, and suddenly they need to make a switch towards what do people want. New technologies, AI, new processes, new competitors are coming up that are going to change the way how your company is doing business. Whether you like it or not, you will need to become more flexible, more agile, and more willing to deal with flexibility of change. The good news is that this is a process that you can manage. Newness, ambiguity, complexity, once you accept these as the new condition of the landscape, are things that you can work with. We believe that this training will help you to add a new lens to the way how you operate. On the one hand, you will continue to run your business and make money as you do right now. On the other hand, you will develop an innovation capacity that can interact with your everyday business and can add value to that in a meaningful way.